a lot of you have organized this meeting with conjunction of Texas NORML in hopes of forming a local chapter of NORML. If you're not familiar with what NORML is, If you're not familiar with what NORML is, it's a national organization to reform marijuana laws. Excuse me. NORML's mission is to move public opinion sufficiently to legalize the responsible use of marijuana by adults, serve as an advocate for supporters or for consumers to assure safe access and affordable marijuana, to provide legal support and assistance to victims of current laws. NORML has over 150 chapters working nationwide at the grassroots level. As more states are successful in changing their laws, challenges to federal prohibition will gain more traction. We need your support to form a local chapter because it takes volunteers to spread the word and keep the public informed about future legislation and candidates who believe in ending prohibition. You don't have to use marijuana to be a supporter of freedom of choice. Prohibition laws have been an economic strain for over 70 years with no improvement on public health or public safety. It affects every single one of us. From the billions of tax dollars used to arrest and imprison otherwise law-abiding citizens. In 2012, a shocking 658,000 Americans were forced into handcuffs for nothing more than a simple possession of marijuana. That means a marijuana consumer is arrested for possession every 48 seconds. In the time it took me to drive here, 15 to 20 people were arrested for possession alone. And that's ridiculous. It really is. Approximately $42 million are spent each year in the U.S. enforcing prohibition against marijuana alone. Or you can even take into consideration the economic boost the production of industrial hemp will generate, which will create thousands of new jobs and free markets. Also, the medical and therapeutic benefits are proven, and the facts are out there. Excuse me. The medical and therapeutic benefits can no longer be ignored. There are over thousands of medical documents that have been released just over the past decade that prove the effectiveness of cannabis to seriously ill patients. Yes. And from it, as far as anybody telling you whether or not you can, it's for medicinal use, that's really up to the patient whether or not it's actually helping and improving their standard of living, and whether it's therapeutic or medicinal, it helps, and it helps over a wide range of everything. So. And that's just what I wanted to get out there. If you or a loved one have a debilitating illness that lowers your quality of life and or keeps you from living it, and you find something that helps, even if it's illegal, would you do anything to make it available for that loved one? The good news is that the movement is catching on. Kentucky and Georgia are expected to join Utah in legalizing marijuana, bringing the total states offered legalization medical marijuana to 24. That's half of the country, with Washington, D.C. is currently in the process of decriminalizing simple possession of marijuana. Even our nation's capital is decriminalizing it. It's time to change the laws in Texas. And together with this chapter and your support, we can make a difference. As far as a NORML chapter, we'll need 5 directors to serve on the board. We need directors who are dedicated from all levels of education, work, experience, and volunteer experience. The directors who are reliable and intelligent, and we need directors who want to make a difference. As a local NORML chapter, we want to participate in fundraising, event planning, information distribution, and legislative process and elections, and informing the public of those. This chapter will be required to start out, an executive director, a secretary, and a treasurer. The 2 other positions will be determined by the board once the chapter develops. We will also need volunteers and supporters. So if you cannot commit to a board position, your time and skills can be utilized for the efforts. Please complete the sign-up sheet that we passed out if you haven't done so already. And there's a place for any questions or comments that you may have that you want to ask. We'll be happy to answer those with you and discuss any issues that you have with them. Once the board members have been elected through the next meeting that we have, we will move forward and establish an affiliation with NORML, providing bylaws, forming the Texas entity, and achieving official 501 nonprofit status organization here. I want to thank everyone again for coming this evening, and the Log On Cafe for accommodating us and supporting us. And without your support and participation, this would not be possible. So once again, I want to thank you again. If you have any questions or concerns, like I said, feel free to ask. I'm going to step down and let Royce here take the mic and let him say what he wanted to say. But thank you once again.
Good job, Corey. We appreciate that, man. Good evening. I'm Royce Abergo. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for coming out tonight to show us your support. I'm excited about the forming of a local chapter of NORML here in Southeast Texas, and you should be too. Our goal is to educate the public of Southeast Texas on cannabis and its many uses. We aim to change public opinion through volunteer work, fundraising, and mature, responsible advocacy. I believe there's an advocate in every one of you. In order to change unjust legislation in Texas, we must be active in politics. We must inform our representatives of our concerns and views and ask them what they plan to do to change them. With a reform of marijuana laws in Texas, we could see a spark in economic growth that we've already seen in other pro-cannabis states. An influx in tax revenue leads to what I like to call the construction of HHS, highways, hospitals, and schools. Colorado alone is generating over $1 million a month in new tax revenue. And as Texans, we need to be asking ourselves, why not us? Colorado only has 1/4 of the population that of Texas, so it's safe to assume that we could, at the very least, double the revenue. Here in Texas, we've always had this motto or this saying, you know, we have industry, we don't need it. Well, I'm here to tell you that that may be true for some of us here in the Gulf region, but even in our own backyard, you can find poverty-stricken neighborhoods, schools with leaky roofs, and hospitals that are understaffed. With the majority of Texans supporting legalization and decriminalization, it is a disservice to the public to treat the masses as criminals. Statistics show the average cost to the tax-paying Texan is $20,000 a year spent on incarceration and conviction, while we spend a mere $7,000 a year on the single child in the public school system here in Texas. That's a startling statistic whenever you think about it. We have 70,000 marijuana-related arrests in Texas every year. With legalization and taxation, we could have a new tax revenue for Texas that we could infuse into our public school systems to better teacher salaries, improve facilities, and better benefits. More revenue means more education and less incarceration. I would also like to see the burden of marijuana prohibition lifted off our local police enforcement on their time and their resources. It's time that we start looking out for those police officers that serve us. We could use this tax revenue to better their benefits, better their pensions, and alleviate some of the stress off of them. Most importantly, we aim to educate the public on the benefits of medical marijuana and its healing properties. Throughout history, there have been documented use of therapeutic marijuana all throughout many diverse civilizations. In order for our families and loved ones to get the kind of treatment that they need, we're going to have to change legislation in Texas, urge our representatives to support and create legislation that not only funds the research of medical cannabis, but also the industrial research of in cannabis. Like I said before, we must get active in politics and reach out to our representatives. That's the only way to change legislation in Texas, and we have a lot of work to do before the 2015 session in order to get a bill on the governor's desk. I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight, and please stick around. We'll try to answer any questions or concerns you may have. I'd also like to thank the Log On Cafe one more time for letting us host this here. You guys are awesome. We look forward to all the volunteer work ahead and the great impact that we can have on our community here in Southeast Texas. Thank y'all.
I'm going to leave the stage open for anybody that wants to come up and give their opinions, state, any